I'm going through my closet. Okay, so what if heaven and hell are dimensions right here, right now, where we are? And that the way you get out of hell is by shifting your attention and focus away from the negative things into the beautiful things. But not only that, by being the best person you can be. So now I know why I had my heightened spiritual experience and why I signed an insane, on the physical level, divorce decree, allowing my then husband to take 9/10 of the property. I left with 1/10, at the most 2/10, which would be 1/5. Whew, probably two. No, definitely 1/10. So it gives me great joy to report to you my epiphany, which is that that feels better. I'm going through my closet. I'm doing the whole thing. The epiphany is that my focus and attention now is going to be getting out of hell. My focus and attention are about getting out of hell. And what is hell? Stress, angry people, fearful people, the lack of joy, the inability to have a good time. You see, the lights outside can be really insanely bright, but if I have all incandescent light bulbs, it's an urban legend, urban myth, it's not medically proven, that incandescent light bulbs are really healthy for you. So when I have to go outside, I can wear these over my glasses or over my eyes. And these are red. And the red will soften the blue light. This isn't medical advice. I am not making claims. However, if you did research into light and how it affects your body, especially light through the eye, light is medicine. Think about this. Infrared light. Vitamin D production in the body. I'm not a doctor, this is medical advice, but I understand that your body naturally produces vitamin D with enough sun exposure. And vitamin D is used in so many processes of your metabolism, especially your hormones, which gives you your libido. You get up and go, But now I'm not making medical claims. I really do have to say these things because there is such a censorship, yes. Over the smallest little thing. So you have to say allegedly, or and it's like it's urban legend. You cannot make any claims of any kind. Sunlight is good for you. In the future, will somebody tell me that is actually illegal advice? Perhaps. You see? So I don't want to be in that future. But that future is a possibility that would be somebody's hell. You feel me? So what I'm doing to get out of hell is to every single day self-evaluate. Am I living my best life? Am I doing according to me? Not according to social media, not according to my sister, my brother, my mother, my neighbor, my friends, according to me. According to me. Am I living my best life? And what is that? So to get back to the point that I was talking about, I have a higher self. I have a higher calling that I answer to. And I answer to it more than I answer to the physical world. And I take that as a victory. I take that as a personal victory. I do. I sewed up the story about Mr. Bumble, who was obviously a controller. And he really tried to breadcrumb me. I reread the text messages, and I could see it so clearly. And that's when I realized he drove his last wife crazy. And she slit her wrists in the bathtub, and he found her. And she left a suicide note that said, "I hope you're satisfied now." And he hasn't had the guts to tell me. And he's well in the rearview mirror. That's a little storyline. That's for any of you young scriptwriters out there. It's a good story. But when I was around him, my lower back ached. And I use my body as a barometer. And I thought to myself, what does that mean? Well, your spinal cord is your support system for your entire body. Your entire body is supported by the spinal column. And of course, the skeletal system. But the spinal column is especially important because through all of its vertebrae, each vertebra has within it nerves that then go out to other parts of the body. And the vertebra collectively is vertebrae. So if I were to bend over forwards, as in yoga, I would bend over one vertebra at a time. So vertebrae 1 through 6 is cervical 1 through 6. Then you have the thoracic and then the lumbar. So right at the base of your spine, there is the sacrum, and then below that the tailbone, the coccyx. So my sacrum area hurt so bad after being with him. So I think what's happening is maybe my body is becoming more sensitive now. And it's telling me stuff before my mind can. Because our minds fool us. And that's when I was like, oh, I can see how easily a person who was born into a narcissistic family structure and was raised by a narcissistic mother, in my case, had absolutely no defenses or understanding of the world, given that the ridicule of us was so great. We're always looking for approval. And we're always making the other person a good person. Even if evidence were right in front of us, we wouldn't see it. It's like there's that disassociation, which is different than the psychological one, whatever the one they pontificate about. What disassociation is in the child of a narcissist is that you kind of float above the situation. When I was being abused in Virginia, I could forget about it the next day. I disassociated with it just to get through the next day. So he could have locked me out. I could have knocked on the door several times. And then I probably went over to the bedroom windows and were knocking on those. And it was a lot of time because he would get so drunk he would pass out. But if he got pissed at me, what he would do was he would lock the doors so that my keys couldn't access the key. So for the instance, the front door had a screen and a glass as well as the inner door. But he would lock the glass door, the storm door, so that I couldn't have access to the door. And then in the back, he actually put a hole through the screen of the porch. It was a back porch, patio, on the ground. And it led up to the door that I then had a key to, but he would then take that and put one of those really thick chains around it and padlock that so I couldn't open that door. He locked me out of the house. What was my crime? I went to Wine Wednesday with my friend, who was female and still is, and he came to get me and tell me to go home. And why? Because I left a note like a normal person telling him where I was so he wouldn't worry. And he insists I go home, and when I say no, I come home to the inability to get into the house. That's narcissistic abuse. That's pathological narcissism. Okay? So I've been through so much that when I meet these guys like Mr. Bumble, the controller, the emotionally deficient husband who drove his wife into depression, he told me she was really depressed. I read on her eulogy, she was taking and going to the pharmacy and fulfilling her prescription every month. And the pharmacist's assistant, whomever it was that she went to get her pills from, went to her funeral or wrote on her page for her eulogy. It's all online. It's all right there. And it was a tragic death. And he himself said, suicide cuts deep. Without him being honest. They always tell you the truth. When I went into the film festival and he had been texting me and I thought I'd wait for him outside and up he comes trotting. I had stood on the stairwell looking around long enough for him to get out of his truck and come flag me down and say, hey. But he told the truth. And he goes, when I asked him, hey, you're here already, and you scouted it out? You actually went inside and talked to everybody and learned where all the rooms are, realized that we couldn't find the film, and it was a film called Sorry, We're Dead. And he says to me, oh, I was observing you and stalking. And then he laughs. They always tell the truth. They always tell the truth. So it's the mind, it's the child of the narcissist whose mind is so trained not to see it. And I have successfully, I now see it. So I've been with the heavyweights and now I'm just sparring. So it's like three guys in 2024, and that should be the end of it for now. There was, I'm going to call him Luigi, Luigi, with the mustache, yes, organically discovered. Oh my God. Yeah. The oyster guy. When I saw him after our night, he actually tried to kiss me on the lips. And I said, no, the cheek. Just give me a hug and kiss me right here. That's good. Just greet me like the French and the Spanish, all right? Yeah, if a man tries to kiss you on the lips right away, girls, that's a boundary violation. That's a red flag. Nobody does that except the psychopath. Someone that wants to push it through. And then later in the text at the end, when finally the oyster guy got my drift that, hey, no, I'm closed. He... Oh man, what was that last thing he said? Oh man. He goes, all relationships start off frenetic and chaotic. What? Not the kind of relationship I want to be in. All new relationships start off frenetic and chaotic. Frenetic. He's a lawyer. Frenetic? No. They don't. One of the ones doomed to failure to last because it's going to kill one of the people's in it. And instead, he got the twisted ankle. So, I could sense he was off balance. I go, no, he's an accident waiting to happen to me. No. I've already dealt with a guy that when I came home after falling on my face, because admittedly I was drunk and he was not coming out of the smoking room and I was waiting and it felt like 20 minutes and it was probably 10. And I just like, all right, I'm leaving. And I went home, but on the way home, I started running and I fell and I face planted. And a neighbor saw me and I was like, oh no, he's a cyclist. He's got a wound repair kit. I don't need anything. I was bleeding. I was visibly bleeding. And I'll never forget it. I remember face planting. I had a swollen frontal. It looked like I had just had a Botox injection. I was like, I get the allure, but the pain's not worth it. And that's my joke. And I don't get Botox. And he asks me if anybody saw me, and that's what set him off, because he's a pathological narcissist. It makes him look bad. He's like, yeah, he's at the bar, and he's not coming home, so I started to walk, but I'm too drunk to make it home, especially running in heels. But here I am trying to beat him home to be able to sit back and be like, yeah, look, I beat you. And sort of like, I was in a fucking addictive, stupid-ass behavior, too. I'd admit it. It's part of the process. Everyone who's ever been a victim of narcissistic abuse and then becomes a victor over their own weaknesses realizes what happened. And it's like, yeah, I was drunk and I wanted to get home and he wasn't bringing me. And I went to the bar to be with him because he's always going by himself. I go, okay, I'll be a team player. I'll go to the bar one night a week. And he was there 5 or 6. I didn't know I didn't know he was a barfly, but that's what he had become. But this is what he does when I tell him that, yeah, one of the neighbors saw me, but I told her I was going to be fine, that you had a kit at home, that you would help me after you got home from the bar. I didn't tell him all these details, but that's what I told her. And he's that known drunk in that neighborhood. Everybody knows. And he comes home and I tell him, oh yeah, so-and-so saw me. And he goes into my closet and he throws up a bundle of clothes, all that he can grab off the rack, up into the air. And then he goes back in, does the same thing with another bundle of clothes, throws them all up into the air. And as he's going in for the third bundle, I'm going into the bathroom and I'm looking around for the first aid kit as I can hear hangers and clothes landing. All right? That's called a pathological narcissist, psychopath, and that is called abuse. Just so you know. So I'm getting myself out of hell by recognizing what hell is and choosing the light. Love you all. May you do the same.